everybody? This is Mark from My Card Post, back with another member spotlight. And today we're talking with Dallas Morrison from Morrison Trading Post. Dallas, thanks for joining. How are you today?
Doing well, Mark. How are you doing yourself?
Doing fantastic, man. We just celebrated 4th of July last night, so today's a nice, easy day for most of us. So before we kind of jump into the meat of things, I'd just love to just learn a little bit more or share a little bit more about yourself, your local card shop that you guys have started. That would just be great to just kind of share with our audience.
Yeah, for sure. So our shop is called Morrison Trading Post. We're a family-owned and operated shop. My brother, Austin, and I run the daily operations together. My mom and dad are retired, and they're in here helping as well. They're kind of our business mentors as well as just extra helping hands because they know what it's like to start a business as a young family. So my brother and I both have young families, so they pitch in because they don't want us to have to grind quite as hard as they did. And we've been in the hobby, both him and I, for many years personally. We both are card collectors ourselves. I was into the TCG side as a kid all the way up until my early college years. I actually sold my Magic the Gathering collection. Sorry, give me 1 sec on that. It's a store phone. I actually sold my Magic the Gathering collection to put down a down payment on my first home. So that was my actual exit from the card kind of community. And then I came back to it around 2019, 2020, kind of right before the pandemic started. We were looking at it and kind of were getting back into it, my brother and I both. And then when the pandemic hit, the industry we were in consignment and kind of vintage decor type stuff. So still similar to collectibles. It was antiques and vintage decor and furniture and stuff like that. A lot of people call them smalls. Yeah. And when the pandemic started, we could no longer go to like estate sales and live auctions. And we had a small brick and mortar shop that was in that industry, and we couldn't have people come in. And that type of item, people really want to look at it up close. It doesn't have the same kind of traction online as cards or coins because people in those communities, they know what it is. They know what that item is. But with the vintage collectibles and smaller items like that, people want to look and feel and touch them. And it's not quite the same. So during the pandemic, couldn't do that anymore. And we were looking at what we can do. We should pivot. How do we adjust our business to work for us in this crazy time that no one knows what's going on? And we ended up going into cards further personally. And then we're like, we love this. Look at this market. We're looking for something to do. Let's do this. So around mid 2021, we started doing it online and on the side. And then by the end of 2021, we went full with it and opened a brick and mortar shop for trading cards and sports memorabilia and all that stuff. And then here we are today.
It's very cool. And it's gone very well for you in the last, what has it been, 3.5 years or so?
Yeah. We love it. It's easy to do a job when you enjoy it.
Exactly. Absolutely. So one of the interesting things, the National is coming up, and you and I, we actually met at last year's National. Actually, Josh from Hockey Cards Gong Show introduced us at the National. And after a quick little pitch, if you will, you were basically immediately interested in MCP and just jumped in full board. So I'm just curious to, know, like, during that conversation, what initially attracted you to the idea, or essentially, what we're building here at My Card Post?
Yeah, for sure. I remember it distinctly. We were standing at the Pristine Auctions booth looking at items, and I was bidding on an Allen Iverson autographed basketball. So very much remember it. Good times. Really happy that Josh introduced us because we are on My Card Post every day now, and it's amazing. Immediately I gravitated to the idea of it being non-transactional fee-based. That's a big thing. You sell a card, you're not paying a percentage or a one-time fee. It's based on a subscription model. And I like that idea. If you're paying a subscription model, you're going to have members that are continuously active, not just there for a single sale. And as a seller, you can infinitely increase your volume with no drawback to it. Mm-hmm. So that was a big thing that stood out to me. And it's not just about the fees. another thing that stood out to me is that you designed it to be a marketplace dedicated to trading cards and collectibles. Like that is in itself a benefit, because a lot of times on other platforms like eBay and all these other bigger online marketplaces, you have a lot of other categories, and it kind of muddies the water a little bit. Things get mixed in translation. You have guys come over from this area that don't understand what they're looking at, and you have a lot more headaches that you have to deal with. Now, you get more eyes because you have way more categories, way more people, way more buyers, which is a benefit, but you have a lot of headache dealing with sometimes people don't exactly know what they're looking at because it's their first time looking at that type of item. So having a marketplace where you're dealing with card collectors, card buyers, card dealers, buying and selling with each other for cards, you're going to have a lot less headaches having to explain, oh, this is what that is. No, sorry, that's not how this works, etc. So that's one that really stood out to me as well. I like the idea of it being a dedicated marketplace, subscription based, so you know the people that are on there are caring about it because they're paying the subscription to stay on the platform, and then they're also all interested in the same material.
Yeah, that's right. And the other part was the community aspect too, that we, really tried to incorporate, where people can be themselves and have their reputations, and by nature of not having the fees, like nobody has to hide behind being anonymous, if you will. And that was another key interesting part. So
Yeah.
it's been
sorry, would you mind me interjecting on that a little bit?
Yeah.
The community side of it too. I actually really like that. One of the things that you added in as a feature to the website and the platform is that feed. I really like that. It's a bit of a mix of a social media, e-commerce platform, and you can be a little more straightforward with, I'm trying to sell this lot. I need these 7 cars to sell, so I need money for a PC piece. Or, hey guys, we as a shop, we're looking to buy. Please send us offers with all basketball or all football or whatever you're looking for. You can kind of dedicate it, but it gives you that area to go into a bigger explanation so that you get what you're looking for and you can go back and forth and talk about it. It's a really cool feature. I like that.
Yeah, interestingly enough, that feature began with a conversation you and I had not too long ago. I remember we were talking with you and your mom, and you were talking about some of the challenges around, like, hey, sometimes we have a PSA slab shortage, and we need to be able to put out like an all points bulletin of like, guys, we're buying PSA slabs, like send us your offers. And a lot of that, sell your cards and the feed feature, spurned from that initial conversation that you and I had as well. The other thing I was going to say is, so the feed, that was basically our first version of it. And without giving away, you're going to see some enhancements coming to that here in the near future that are going to be pretty exciting to just continue to evolve that workflow in that area of the platform. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Every time we ever have a conversation and I see a light bulb go off in your head, it's the coolest thing to see how dedicated you are to this, because we'll have a conversation. I can see you get an idea from it. And then like a week later, I get a email saying, check out my car post new feature. And I'm like, I recognize that. And it's really cool to see that you don't just talk about it. You actually take action and make those things go live. So as a seller, full-time dealer, watching a platform say, I think that's a cool idea, and then immediately take initiative to make it happen, you don't see that everywhere else. It's cool.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. I mean, that's part of, the benefits of being a small business. You can be very nimble, very quick. You can iterate things, quickly develop something, put it out there, see if it works. And if it does, you can grow it and enhance it and improve it. If not, maybe you remove it. We haven't removed too many things, but, there have been a couple of things that just didn't work out and we just took them away. Speaking of the feed, since we're talking about it, I saw last night that you actually did put out a feed that you guys are buying, looking for bulk inventory. So maybe just kind of talk about like what you guys are looking for, and then if any of our members are listening, they can come and send you some offers.
Absolutely, yeah. So funny enough, we were just talking about the feed. We just made a post on it last night. Yeah, we're looking to buy bulk. We kind of need some filler. We're in a in-between time where we've had slowdown in collections coming in because it's summer. People want to go out. It's long weekend just happened, and we're listing so many listings, around 100 a day of genuine listings, not filler junk. And to keep that going, we're talking 700 listings a week. You continuously need cards. And so with it being the summer and long weekend, we are I can see the pool getting shallower. So we reached out, we put on the feed. We're like, yeah, let's use the tools we have available. So we put out there, yep, we're looking to buy bulk. We'll buy as many singles as you want. And the values we're just looking to be between, and that's what I love about the feed, is you can throw in all these details. You can confine it to be exactly what you want. And we're looking for between $50 to $2,500 singles, graded and raw, preferably in the 4 major sports. And we would prefer graded over raw, but we'll take both. And we'll buy it in bulk. We're paying between 70 to 90% on each individual card, depending on the liquidity of it. Now, that's a baseline kind of offer. If there's some cards that we feel are really illiquid or not that sought after, pricing might not be matching, we might go on a lower percentage, around that 60, 65%. But for the general point, any of those blue chip pieces, we're ready to pay and pay honestly, and we'll buy hundreds to thousands of the cards at a time.
That's amazing. And for someone who's actually done, one or more of these deals with you, you guys do a very thorough analysis on, kind of the value of each card and share that back with the seller. But part of the benefits to the members is that they can move, to your point, 100 plus cards to you. You'll buy them all, which is a very strong benefit and, a lot of cash that someone can get just from liquidating, maybe some cards that they have had sitting around that, maybe your operation can move them a little bit faster than theirs. So,
yeah, totally. And like on that note, we love the ability to do multi-card deals. I mean, I'm surprised that other platforms haven't tried to put this into effect more efficiently the way you guys have it compiled. Being able to do bulk offers on multiple cards and see it all together, see total value, counter value, the picture as a whole deal instead of each individual listing. Really cool. Love that feature.
Yeah.
It's such a good feature that I don't know why other places aren't doing it. It's amazing. And yeah, to your point, we've done deals together. When we do deals, especially bulk deals, we are a singles first shop. We're a brick and mortar hobby shop. So we have our packs, we have our boxes, we have memorabilia, but our heart and our main focus is singles. And so when we do it, we have a pretty comprehensive way on how we do it in our back. So we want to give people that comprehensive pricing to look at because we believe in transparency. We want to build relationships and do deals where people walk away from it. And next time they have cards they want to sell, it's not well, maybe I'll try to sell it on my own, or maybe these guys they're honest, they're quick, they're efficient. I'm just going to go there first and get the deal done. We want people, and we see it in our shop and online. Once we do a deal with someone, we usually see them come back because we're honest. We'll put it on paper and we'll show you what we're looking at. And if you disagree with it, then you can just say no.
Right. Or counter. I mean, the ease of just, you can accept it, you can counter, maybe a quick negotiation just to close whatever little gap there may be. But yeah, to your point, and I've experienced it as well, super fair offers, super crisp in, kind of the values. And I mean, it's obviously usually a very quick, easy acceptance when, you're doing those bulk deals. And there's two ways to do them. Number one, people can go to your page, which we'll share a bit later, and go and click that button, see exactly what you're buying, that sell your cards button. And then they can just load up a bunch of their inventory and submit it to you guys for review. But there's also the other side of maybe you guys find a particular seller in the marketplace who has a lot of cards that you're looking for. You can go on their page and, load up that multi-card cash offer. And I appreciate your thoughts on that because, again, that's, really how my card post started was how can we replicate that card show experience, right?
Yeah.
These types of deals are being done every day. We see tons and tons of content creators who are at card shows, stacking these slabs up and doing big deal negotiations. And we really just wanted to build that same workflow online because it hadn't existed before. So appreciate the feedback there.
No problem.
So one of the other things too, is speaking of, doing these bulk deals, and I'm thinking of one we did in the past, how much raw cards are you buying and then deciding to kind of grade them, and how much of your business is revolved around that? And we can talk about one specific card that I'm still sweating over, if you will.
Yeah, and that's because you're a true collector. It's hard to let them go when you see something happen with them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
There's that. I mean, I remember this. There was a Jack Hughes rookie accents, and we'll probably pop that up on the screen. But I remember selling it to you raw, and then whatever it was, a month or so later, I see it pop back up, relisted SGC 1010, and you're just like, oh man, killer card.
Yep.
I'm not the best
Hey,
in.
we appreciate you taking care of it
Yeah.
and being able to have it in your possession, package it up, ship it to us, and we still are able to get a 10 on it. Means you took good care of it. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm also, it's one I continuously like, you'll probably see me make a play on it here at some point in the near future. So
Hey, there you go. Yeah, we when we're doing our buying, when we purchase raw cards, it's almost always on our mind that we're going to look at the potential for grading. When we buy our singles, right away, if it's any type of kind of blue chip card, either a rookie, a parallel, something numbered or autographed, and it's from popular sets, Prism, Select, or Young Guns for hockey. Immediately, if that card is worth more than $5-10 raw in that range, immediately we look at it and go, is this grade worthy? And is there a market for this card graded? Because there are some singles, in the marketplace that it's worth $5 to $7. And if you get a card graded, usually you want to try and get that to 3x in value roughly if it gets a 10. But there's some cards that are just not liquid. And you can get a 10 on it, and it means it's not worth any more money because there's no one that's willing to pay $30 for a card that they didn't want to pay really $5 for. So when we look at it, we look at liquidity as well, because if it's a popular name and it's a decent card, can we grade it? And it goes in the pile and we review it. I would say probably 70% of the raw singles we purchase are looked at for grading, and we have a pretty quick process for it. Does it check all the boxes for being a candidate for grading? Not on condition, just on liquidity and value and those kind of blue chip markers. Yeah. If yes, then we just really quickly, you can eliminate a lot of cards for review for grading by just looking at the four corners and the four edges on the front and back, like not even taking it out of a sleeve or top loader, just look at it like this, flip, nope, that's not gradable immediately. Yeah. So the process is really fast. When you're looking at thousands of cards a day, you can whittle it down to being a much more manageable workload pretty quickly.
I think that's super important. I mean, just the efficiency, because it can take up a lot of time. I mean, if you're prepping cards and really looking at them, if you're spending more than 5 minutes on a card, like, it's just going to bog you down. So that real quick triage of like getting a card, understanding if it's value, if you can get it to a 9, 9.5, 10, whatever it may be. Do you find yourself mostly grading with SGC, or are you kind of going across most grading companies?
Yeah, so I would say SGC is probably our biggest bulk of our grading submissions. We have registered group submission accounts with SGC, CGC, and TAG, which I'd love to talk about TAG more. I don't know if we have all day because I love that company. The AI grading that they do is amazing. It's unmatched. Just look them up. I won't give the whole spiel, but it's AI based grading, and every single graded card that gets graded with them comes with a QR code. You can scan that code. You pulls up the cert, and you have a full breakdown of why the card got the grade that it got with almost X-ray vision on it. It's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, bulk of our inventory that gets graded goes through either SGC or TAG. Those are our two biggest group submission accounts. We do it for our clients, so people can bring cards in or send them to us, and we group submit for them. And then also our own cards as a shop, we send to them. And so as a shop, like not counting client cards, we're probably sending between 200 to 500 cards a week between either SGC or TAG or both. And it's just a continuous, you have to always be taking the inventory and trying to add value, because if you can get a better ROI, your return on investment is much better if you take a $10 card, spend $20 roughly with shipping and everything all in, get a 10 on it, and now it's worth 50. Well, yeah, it's you made more money than if you would have just sold it for your $10.
Great margins. Are there any situations where you look at a card and be like, these three need to go to PSA or Beckett, or is it just, kind of that's just
so like that does come up. We don't have group submission accounts with them because as a younger, newer on the block kind of shop, our biggest hurdle is always cash flow. And we just feel with especially PSA is the number one name in the industry. It has the most liquidity and the highest market value for resale. We all know that. But the amount of time it takes to get your subs back and the total cost per card after equating for some of the upcharges and fees, etc., on the low end stuff that we're sending, it just doesn't make sense. I'd rather take it and sell it for the 20% less on value, but do it 5 times before I would have got the 1 sub back, because that 20% cut on your sale is worth it if you're doing it 5 times in the same amount of time you would have done it once. But on big ticket items, that's where the kind of crossover is that 20% difference makes a big difference when you're talking about $2,000, $3,000, $10,000. If you have a really high-end gold prism that's a couple $1,000s raw and you think it's a really good candidate for a 10, we're probably going to go express with PSA just to make sure that if it gets that 10, you're not taking $1,000 loss just on the holder that it's in. We prefer to use SGC and tag. Those guys are tried and true, but on those really high ticket items, sometimes it just makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. What types of cards do you guys focus on? I mean, we talked about like the 4 major sports in your buying feed, but you're doing Pokemon. Obviously, you have a big, Magic or Pokemon experience as well. Are you kind of like the full gamut of cards, or any and all categories?
Yeah, I would say our main focus is definitely sports over TCG, but we do some TCG stuff. With the TCG, probably Pokemon is easily the biggest. After that would be One Piece, Lorcana, kind of. Magic the Gathering is a massive TCG, but the fan base and collectors / players of the game, it's much heavily more skewed towards gameplay than collecting. And we are not set up to be a game store. Like, we have some play area and we do stuff, but for Magic the Gathering and those more heavily gameplay based communities, we're not equipped to run that. So we focus on the sports singles and Pokemon because there's a resale value in those singles for collectability, not for some inherent gameplay. And then inside that, to go even more micro, we're a shop based out of Canada. So hockey is our number one. We love our hockey. The Stanley Cup playoffs, that Stanley Cup final going to Game 7, it was amazing to watch. We were on the edges of our seats. We loved it. And hockey is easily our biggest passion.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, my card post in the early days was very heavily hockey for a while. That has since kind of, diluted itself down, but it was, kind of part of our early story as well. And I'm a big hockey collector too. I would just love to get your thoughts too. So, you've been on my card post for almost a year now. Would love to just kind of get your thoughts on, how MCP is, a useful and unique platform kind of suited to local card shop owners like yourself. And if you just have any general thoughts that maybe other local card shop owners should be thinking about as well.
Yeah. My card post, love the platform. We've talked on a lot of points. The multi-card offers, when you do bulk deals, whether buying or selling, having it all in one frame and one window and doing it as a full deal instead of breaking it down by single and having a message on 30 things or take your own picture. Love the bulk offers. The feed, where you can see what everyone else is trying to buy or trying to sell. Use it as a shop, just scrolling through that feed and kind of seeing what are people saying they're looking to buy, and you'll start to see certain trends. That is a good indicator of like, okay, I see like out of the last 20 posts I've seen, 10 of them were about football alone. Well, yeah, the football preseason's coming up. You see that, I got to get my football inventory. Maybe I should run a sale or drop some of the prices, push it out there. Or if someone comes in and is trying to sell their football singles, I'm going to look at that right away because I know the market is looking to buy those right now. So as a shop, you can use that to your advantage. And as well as it's another revenue stream. It's another platform. It's another arm of the business. If you're in the hobby as a business, not just as a collector, you do this as a living, you have to look at every avenue you can to make revenue. And this is a great avenue to make revenue. It's a dedicated platform to trading cards. And if you sell cards, you're going to want to be on there. That's a big thing for us. That's why we like it.
Very cool. That interesting point. I didn't think about like kind of that research element of just seeing like, hey, what are people looking for is kind of a good indicator of like, hey, maybe we need to start loading up for some football here. Not that you didn't know that already because it's football season coming up, but That's an interesting point. Last thing, I know we didn't really touch upon much, but another aspect of the platform. I mean, some people think My Card Post is heavily a trading platform, but mostly a lot of those bulk offers, buying, selling is a major piece. But just what is your guys' stance on trading? Have you done any trading? It's not for everybody. So just kind of curious from your business's perspective, how has trading kind of played into your operation?
Absolutely, yeah. So trading is probably the least used function that we as a shop use personally, but that's not to say that it doesn't have its merit. Totally, I can see a lot of benefit to having it, and I love that it's a piece of the platform. As individual collectors and as a collector myself, if I see an item on there and I just am not in a state where I want to shell out cash today, I love the ability to try and offer up my inventory to try and get a card that I want. That is a great way to keep liquidity in the market and keep cards moving hands and keep people happy. Sometimes people just want to get out of something, but they don't want to sell it for cash and see just how disappointed they are with it. So instead, I'm going to trade it out. And if you're going collector to collector, it's not always about the dollar figures on the cards. It's, as long as you're in a ballpark and both parties are happy, you can get a deal done. As a shop, trading, I see as using it less often, but when you do use it, it's a great benefit. Say you have a really large piece that you've been sitting on, you just can't seem to move it. Well, no one's offering me cash for it, and I don't want to sell it for these lowball offers. Like I just said, if you get a diehard collector that's looking for that high-end card, they might be willing to give you more value out of it on a trade. So if you've been sitting on it in a while and you can't get cash, let's just trade this for more liquid inventory. It gets one item out. I got two or three more items in. I'm going to sell those, and then I'll get my cash back off those, and maybe even a little bit more. That's a really good benefit as a shop, because sometimes you just have those cards. If you own a shop or you're a full-time dealer, those cards. You look at them in the box or on the shelf. You walk past them every day, and you go, "How is that still here?"
Yeah.
How? I always have those ones. So yeah, using the trade function for that makes a ton of sense to me. And other than that, like I don't see a ton of items. Like if someone's not on My Card Post already and they're thinking about getting on here, there is the ability to turn trades on and off on certain individual listings. That might be your best bet. Don't just have it on everything. You're going to get flooded with trade offers, and we're in the in-between where some of our inventory has trade offers enabled on it that we didn't want it to because of the settings and how we list My Card Post with Mascot, which I think we were going to talk about anyway, so we could get there. But we would prefer to just be on certain listings, which we're getting to the point of where it'll be where we want it to be. Because if you just have it turned on everything, you're going to get a bunch of these random trade offers that you're like, I have no desire to trade this card. Not that I'm against trading. I'm a shop and I need to get some cash sometimes. And I'm not looking to wait for cards in the mail. I need to get some money to buy something that's in the front of the shop today.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. But having the ability to trade off those cards that you aren't able to move, or maybe it's a smaller market and no one's willing to pay cash on it, or just recycle. It's called, you recycle your inventory sometimes.
Yeah.
And change it up so that people have something new to look at. It's a great feature to use for that.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that a lot, especially like to your point is if you have kind of an expensive card that's just maybe it's just not a good local market card for you. I mean, yeah, I could sit on eBay or My Card Post for a while, but you probably move a heavy volume of cards from the people that are walking in your store who are looking, for local market type stuff. So sometimes it's good to just swap that card out, go bring in, 2, 3, 4, 5 new, more liquid pieces that maybe are lower in value too, because the more expensive the card, the more unique of a buyer you need to find as well who can afford that card.
Yeah, smaller and smaller market. The more expensive it gets, it kind of drastically falls off.
And the other part too is like when you are making a trade offer, it's important to know like what your interests are or what your other party's interests are, right? So, maybe you're not looking for, I don't know, Sidney Crosby cards because it's just not, not your market per se. So, people need to kind of offer, some of more of those local players that you're looking for just to increase the probability of a deal getting done, if you will.
Totally agree. If you see a page that all they have is graded football cards, don't try and trade one of their cards and send them an offer with all Pokemon. They're probably going to look at it and go, what is this? No way. Look at who you're dealing with and try and base your offer based off of that, not just dollars and numbers.
And the other piece I'll add too is some of this repetition and the fact that, on my card post, you're building relationships with people, right? You're getting to know them. Everybody knows I'm a Boston collector, right? And I know I collect Pasternak and all these Boston players. A lot of the offers I get are, good offers. They know, like, hey, I got this Jeremy Swayman, rookie RPA. Are you interested? I'd like to take whatever, those 2 cards that you have on your page. It's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I would happily do that. So it's important that as you're getting these repetitions, you're learning what these people's interests are, and you're just making, higher and higher probability trade offers as time goes on. So I know we're getting close on time here. I did want to touch upon Mascot because, Mascot's a fairly new thing as well. We're integrated with it. We love Mascot. How has kind of Mascot helped change the way that you've been managing your business, your listings across all these different marketplaces? So maybe some quick thoughts on that.
Yeah, for sure. I would say Mascot might be one of the largest impacts on our shop in the last year plus. It's been definitely a very utilized tool. We now use it on every single listing we have for singles, and it's rapidly growing. Like, our total singles listings are around, on my card post right now, it's just shy of 3,000. On eBay and some of the other marketplaces where we're still slowly working on the backlog, it's a little bit higher, around the 4,000 to 5,000 listings range. And that's 4,000 to 5,000 listings of like liquid listings / new listings. We, as I said, list roughly 100 new listings a day. And that number is slowly ticking up, but it's not just massively growing every day, because I would bet we probably only have, maybe of those 5,000 listings, 200 cards that are older than 6 months. So if you're a dealer in this industry, you know that's like, we price our cards to sell, and we try our best to move them. So if it's not moving, we usually try and find the reason why and either adjust it, drop the price, or try and get out of it in a trade, as we spoke about. But Mascot, to get to that, is been massive for us to be able to list on multiple platforms and not worry about manually checking or manually removing these. When you have thousands of listings, we were, previous to Mascot, certain platforms we had to manually go to. Oh, I just sold a card out in the shop front. Which card was it? Let me pull up the order on the POS system. Okay, it was this card. Let me check eBay. Oh yeah, it's on there. Remove. Let me check my card post. Oh, it's on there. Okay, we got to remove that listing. When you sell a card for $20, but you spent 30 minutes of staff time trying to make sure that it's not on every marketplace, you probably just made negative money. So having Mascot, where and it integrates so well, where if we sell a card through our POS system in the front, it is immediately, instantly taken out off of my card post, Shopify, eBay, everywhere, instantaneously. So that is a huge blessing. Ezra is an amazing guy to work with. Really like his mind behind where that platform's going. They're bringing on new integrations like Whatnot, and I believe TikTok was added to there recently. So there's a lot of avenues you can go with your inventory through Mascot. It's very dedicated strictly to kind of trading cards and comics. I think they've added some sealed wax and stuff recently, but very heavily to singles. So if you're not in that industry, or you're a mix but not that many singles, it's probably not for you. But if you're in the singles game, it's a very good tool to use. We love the ability to manage our inventory seamlessly without having to manually check everything. With it being a newer tool, there's a few hiccups here and there.
Of course.
But usually, for the most part, it's you notice them quickly because of the way the whole system works. It's pretty easy to catch it, fix them, and away you go. I'd rather take 5 minutes to fix 1 or 2 little hiccups than manually check 7 platforms for every single listing every time we sell it.
Yeah. No, it's been great. And it's only going to get better, just kind of the integrations and, the data and the details that are going to get included in listings and things of that nature. So the other thing you mentioned too, which we probably don't have enough time to get into today, but I just can't emphasize enough your comments around pricing your cards to move. It's so important. I think every marketplace in the world suffers from that initial impression from buyers that so many things are overpriced. You got $10 cards being listed for $240. And that's just, those cards are just going to sit. People aren't even going to bother sending you offers because it's just so far out of whack. But if you're really looking to make money and, take $20 instead of trying to get 70, right? You just quickly recycle this cash and list your cards appropriately. And especially on my card post, we're big fans of the fact that there are no seller fees. So as a seller, you can pass a little bit of those savings onto your buyers and have your list pricings be slightly lower. And that just,
Totally.
shows people of like, hey, I'm not going to say this, but maybe Morrison, maybe your card is listed for $200 on eBay, but I can go get it for $180 on my card post. Like, so it's just this.
You can 100% say that with Mascot, you have the ability to toggle your pricing. We do that. My card post is automatically set to be a certain percentage lower listing price than certain other platforms because of that exact reason.
Yeah, that's perfect. Dallas, well, I just want to thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate it. Maybe just share briefly where people can follow you. I know you're on Instagram, you have your own website. You maybe just kind of highlight some of those pieces and we'll wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're ever in the Calgary area, we're just outside of Calgary on the north end in Airdrie, Alberta. We have a full brick and mortar shop. You can also find us online, like Mark said, at Instagram, Facebook, our own website, morrisontradingpost.com. We go to a lot of shows. We'll be at the National this year. If you see us there, come say hi. And we're at most major shows in Canada. We go to, all the expos. There's a big one coming up for any of you Canadians or West Coast people. Definitely check out. It's called the Van City Card Show. That'll be in Vancouver, British Columbia in October. That's going to be a very good show. The guys that are running it are putting on some crazy good stuff. They've brought in some unique stuff that I haven't seen at card shows before. So definitely check it out. It's going to be a big one. That's the Van City Card Show in Vancouver in October of this year. And what else do we got? That's probably, I'd say that's where you can find us.
Fantastic. Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, if you're looking to make some deals, sell some cards, buy some cards, you can find Dallas and his family at mycardpost.com/Morrison Trading Post. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.